Everything is fine here on Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast. I'm Mike, joined by Dustin. And hey, it's your actual name in the corner because you're not on your computer. It says Dustin's
No.
iPhone. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
our good buddy is in the process of selling his house, so he had to tidy up quite a bit and get it staged. So that's why he's not on his computer or his laptop. He's on his phone.
If anyone remembers that whole process, it's
It's not fun.
I mean, there's some things that are fun about it.
It's exciting, but not fun in my eyes.
Yeah, exactly. It's just there's so many little nuanced things that you have to do. Luckily for us, we had several weeks to prepare for this. So we're just doing like little things like chopping it up into bits and pieces to stage. So it didn't feel like a ton of work because we were, I like did like one thing a day.
Yeah, that's good.
And
That's smart
so,
approach. And
yeah,
you're not like a um
hoarder.
materialistic person or a hoarder. So
Some
you
people would call that hoarders. Or, like, okay, there's one thing like materialistic, like just like nice, fancy things versus
sure,
like just piling crap all over the place.
sure,
So we're neither of those things.
right.
I
You're
think,
simpletons.
I don't want to say simpletons, but I think
um,
we live within our means and we
yeah.
don't buy a bunch of toys and I mean, at least not yet. Well, maybe when the kids get older and stuff like that. But yeah, so it's exciting. We have an offer on a house accepted in Appleton, and our house will go on the market the day that this recording gets released. So tomorrow, technically. So that'll be fun. We did like a coming soon, and we have some showing set up for tomorrow. So that's another fun thing. Like you're still living in the house, but you're
Yeah,
showing it at the same time. So like you have to get out of Dodge, but still live in your house, but make it look like you're not living in your house. So that's why my computer's put away. It's because like I didn't want to get it out, set everything up, and then have to take it down and then put it away again. So I was just like, fuck it, I'll record it on my phone.
which
But
I
before we
took.
start recording, I had it like way too low, so you got a really good
Oh yeah,
view of my giblies.
we made sure to change that really quick.
Yeah, so I'm using like my
And
kids
then there was
like
another
this little
pose you had where
chair.
you were like laying on the
I
couch and
was like, yeah, yeah,
you look like a high school like
oh my God, did you hear
girl
about
girl
Billy,
in
guys?
love that
Billy, he like
gossiping.
hands fly open the whole day in science class.
Oh my gosh. It was pretty hilarious.
So,
Um
but now it looks like I got a boner because I got the pillow like right in my lap, but it's really just for comfort.
Speed or comfort.
You motorboat
Um
son of a bitch.
but no, that I mean that's very exciting.
Well, we were
It's
talking
an
before we started recording, right? Like your house is so organized and like there's so much space that you're like, man, I could live in this house. And then you're
which
like, oh shit, I have a toddler. It's not going to stay this way regardless.
is an interesting concept to stage. Like I totally get it and it makes sense. But like because the concept is you're trying to allow the people that come in to make it easier to view it as their home versus like someone else's home. But like most people's homes are more like how you had it before you staged it. So it's like,
It's
you
all
know,
it's all psychological
yeah,
bullshit, right? Like
exactly.
it's the same thing we are talking about. Like if you price a house 399,000 versus 400,000, right? Like the difference in the psychology of that, right?
Well,
So,
there's a technical aspect to that though too with searching, setting your
well,
prices.
exactly,
A lot of people will
100%,
like
right?
say 400,000. So then it knocks at yours out, even though you might be right close to it. So
Yeah, and I mean, not to get too far in the weeds, but the reality is in this market, like everyone's getting over asking still, and
yeah,
so,
you're
and
gonna
we
do
love
just
our house,
fine.
man. I seriously 100%, I'm gonna cry uh when we sell this house, and I'm not afraid to admit it. Like this house is everything we've wanted and needed. And I mean, another reason I'm gonna cry is the mortgage payment and the change from what we're gonna go to or we have to
Interest
what we're gonna go to.
rates.
Yeah. I mean, we bought this house at 2.75, right? And right now it's like higher than 7. So, I mean, we're literally going to triple our interest rate.
But your
So,
new paycheck will help towards that.
well, that will help, and then the daycare decrease will
Yeah.
help. But, um, I mean, this house is everything. I mean, you've been here many times, right?
Yeah.
It's perfect for what we need and what we use it for, and you know,
And you
the
put a lot of work
backyard is
into it.
so. Yeah, we have, right? I mean, I, with my neighbor's help, and I want to shout out my neighbor Luke, who was the reason I did it myself because I would have never have done it without his help, and would saved us tons of money. But like we did the master bathroom ourselves. Like
Hmm.
the only thing we didn't touch was the shower, but we did the vanity, the toilet, the mirrors, the fixtures, the light fixtures, and so I mean, it looks like a brand new bathroom, and so super proud of that. The deck, we
Kitchens
didn't
and
do that
bathrooms,
ourselves.
man. Kitchens and
Yeah,
bathrooms make the money.
well, and I like the kitchen. I don't love it for what I use it for. Like I do like, I mean, I bake a lot.
Hmm.
There's always not a lot of counter space. And then Bennett takes up half that counter space. Just now he's in the stage and I love it and hate it that he wants to cook with me. So, and he's got this little, and you'll get this for JJ. It's like a little chair thing. It's got like, it looks like a mini balcony,
Sure.
and he just pushes it around the kitchen and he'll go like next to me. And then, I mean, I knew I was a messy cook, but holy shit.
Well, and your
It,
kitchen's very nice. It's just probably not the size you would want it to be. But your new kitchen looks pretty
it's not
sizable.
the size. Size doesn't matter. If you're listening, guys, size doesn't matter in this case. It's the
Boy, it takes a
countertop
long time to
space.
get to England in a rowboat, I tell you that.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. It's the countertop space that I have a hard time with.
yeah,
So, anyway,
that's fair.
that's kind of where we are in the journey in life, right? So, we list the house tomorrow. Hopefully, it sells quick and we do well on the sale, and then we close that chapter. And then the next step in the process is physically moving. So,
Yeah,
we do have movers set up. It's just then the whole packing thing and all that.
for sure. Well, good luck. You're not going to need it because I feel like you're going to do a great job with it. I think there'll be a lot of interest in your house, and um, I think you guys will be very happy. And most of the control is in your hands in this situation, so I feel like you're going to do just fine. Um, but I know that's not what everyone's here to listen about. Everyone wants to hear what we're going to talk about, which is the most recent episode of Bad Batch. So, episode 14, Flash Strike. So, we will be talking about that episode. So, spoiler alert if you haven't watched it, put us on pause, go watch the episode, and then come back and listen to us. We'll be talking about all the details. And our chat is running this time. So, bring your thoughts and opinions to the chat if you're here listening to us, watching us. I saw one other viewer at the moment. So, talk to us. So where to start with this episode? I mean, I feel like
Here's what I loved about it right off the jump.
yeah, let's go for it.
Like, I know I've said this before, where the bad guys seem to like be smarter than the good guys, but like it just makes so much sense, that they're not dumb and they're not gonna like have this like
The
right
preparations
away.
like Hemlock was making, you're talking about, like
Yeah,
let's
like
get
okay, he got
fighters
the
in the
report
air.
that
Yep.
yeah, he got the report that there were some shenanigans that happened at the space base, right? So he's like, we're not taking any chances, send the fighters, and it just makes a lot of sense, right? And then it makes for believable and engaging action sequences, you know? So right off the hop, I was like, yes, like that makes sense. Like you don't want the good guys to, just get shot out of the air, but it makes sense that
They would know.
through, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree. So that's how the episode starts. If you recall how we left off the previous episode, the Bad Batch had latched on to the bottom of the ship, which Echo is
Right in the
inside
nick
the
of
ship,
time.
right in the nick of time. So we're traveling through hyperspace when we start this episode, and they're essentially making the preparations. They're like, once we come out of hyperspace, they're gonna know we're here, one way or another. And so they're essentially saying, okay, we're gonna detach and we're gonna go through the jungle. Like that's gonna be our best chance. Um, so sure enough, that's what ends up happening. But to Dustin's point, on the Imperial side, they were making preparations. Hemlock was advised that, the Bad Batch were on that space station and we've lost contact or lost, where they are currently at. So something fishy is going on here. And then Hemlock makes the preparations, you know, get the fighters in the airspace. Let's meet this ship. Make sure no one comes into the station unauthorized. I want you to check the ship. I want you to check all the people and everything. So that's the preparations that are made. And
Well,
then go ahead.
the other thing I like is, not to get too far ahead, but like they shoot him down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they investigate the crash site, and they're like, oh, well, there's no bodies here. So obviously they survived. It's like the James Bond scenes, right? Where they got James Bond, they're about to, kill him, and they're like, well, I'm gonna go leave the room while this laser is gonna cut your balls off. It's it's so tropey. I just like that in the sense that, yeah, well, we shot the ship down, but that doesn't mean that we actually killed
Right.
the people we're trying to kill. So
Right.
again, like I like the logic, and if they do, when you do that right, everything else that follows is more enjoyable, in my opinion.
So would you say you would classify your suspension of disbelief for this episode? It met like those expectations?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really, I think that's a big part of what you ask for as a viewer is
Yep.
like, don't assume that your viewers are dumb,
Right.
right? Like, that's a big problem with a lot of the cinema that comes out, and they just pretend like you're dumb, and they have to spoon feed you things, and then they do things, and because they spoon feed you things, then they spend so much time on exposition, then they have to like rush these action sequences, and they're not fulfilling because you're like, well, I feel like a baby that was spoon fed something I didn't want to eat in the first place,
Right.
and then now you're already changing my diaper and haven't pooped yet, like, you know
Right. No, I'm with you on this one. I felt like, and I know we're kind of talking about the whole episode, but I felt like it was a very believable episode. I was very satisfied because it just made sense. It really did. It wasn't as action packed. It wasn't as, the plot building wasn't that big in this one. Cause I mean, we already knew what was kind of coming, especially from the previous episode. So we could have foretold these, situations would play out this way. We don't know how they're going to end up, but we knew like we're going to get to this point. But it still made it believable and it still made it captivating to watch just the way it was constructed. So great job in the writing and production of this because I really enjoyed the episode. Um, it's sad to I thought there was going to be 16 episodes in this season, but I guess there's 15. So there's only one next week. I don't know if somewhere down the line they decide to mesh the two episodes together and make one, or
so that'll
maybe
be it then, huh?
yeah, that's last episode. It will probably be a longer episode. They've got a lot they have to wrap up
Wrap up.
in one
Yeah.
more episode, unless they, pull a just kidding. There will be a season 4, but like there's a lot left to be told here. So I'm curious how this is all going to unfold. I'm sure it's going to be maybe like at least a 40-minute episode. It has to be because I don't know how they're going to accomplish everything if it's another 23 to 25-minute episode. But to go back where we were, so after they're all making their preparations, then we're in Tantus research facility, and there's like an alarm or protocol taking place, and Emery is questioning the other scientists with her, like, what's going on? And they said this is like a security precaution type of a thing. So Emery, doesn't she mention that she's going to go kind of investigate and
And then
ask
one
the other
the
scientists to
other
kind of
bitch,
watch over the
she's like,
kids
"Don't
and
worry,
everything.
you shouldn't worry about their well-being."
Yeah, don't get connected with them. Don't worry about their well-being. But I mean, like, shouldn't she still be concerned about their well-being? Like, their research can't be accomplished if the kids are dead.
I think they're really trying to make people hate her. Like
Yeah,
it's almost a little too forced for me. Like this woman is a cold-hearted bitch, you know?
yeah,
Like the one kid, I'm hungry, it'll pass.
it'll
That's not how
pass.
hunger works, you dummy.
Quite the scientist you are. And then yet the one that's like, I don't feel good. And they're like, oh well, let's investigate. Like,
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
kid
let's
is
do a full
more
body
likely to be
scan.
joking about not feeling well versus being hungry. So, but
Yeah.
um, so yeah, and then Omega is talking with the kids and they're all trying to figure out what's going on. Like they hear all these noises and rumblings. What's happening? And Omega is like, that's laser fire or blaster fire. And she's like, and they're like, what's going on? And she's like, my brothers have found me, essentially. So she knows it's them. She knows what's coming for her. And now she needs to make the preparations on her end to make it easier for the escape. So, and then we go back to the Bad Batch crew and they end up getting shot down and they're separated at first because they're repelling out of the ship as it's like being fired upon and about to go down. And Crosshair and Wrecker get out first, and then it's Hunter and Rampart,
Douchebag McGeezack.
douchebag McGeezack, and of course his like harness thing malfunctions, and Hunter ends up like shooting it, so he falls, and then like Hunter catches him, and he makes just like the most weak scream. Like, how are you an Imperial officer if you're like screaming to that level?
Because
You're.
he's Lieutenant Dangle.
I mean, he's supposed to be like like at least in season one and everything. He's like a hard ass. Like, but his scream was almost like it wasn't the Wilhelm scream, but it was pretty close to it one way or another. So
Yeah, it was pathetic. He's got more of those coming in the episode too.
yeah, he sure does. Um, so and they all land, and I thought that they were going to get to Tantus like separately, but no, they ended up connecting pretty quickly once they were in the woods. And
Yeah, I like that. It's like, well, let's not do this whole separated, and then have to
sure,
find each other. They don't have the time really to do that anyway,
that's
if you think
true.
about it.
No, that's very true. And so once they connect, then they see the ships that are approaching to investigate the crash. And so they're like, oh, get out of here and everything. But then, of course, we know the jungle is pretty dangerous. And douchebag McGeezack ends up leaning up against some like huge bear, almost looks like
Yeah.
a big beaver creature that starts attacking them and essentially causes the attention of the stormtroopers that are investigating the ship, the
Well,
crash site.
technically he does because he's running away like a giant
Well, that's true.
pussy.
That's true.
And then the stormtroopers notice like him moving through the forest,
Yeah.
and then they start shooting at him.
Because they
And then of
strategically didn't
course
want to
now,
shoot at it because
yeah,
they
yeah,
would
yeah.
draw the attention, but
Yep.
douchebag
And then
McGeezack's going to take care of that anyways.
I guess the only good thing about it is they start shooting and it draws the attention of the
Yeah.
beaver bear thing
Man,
and
bear,
man
pig.
bear pig.
Man, bear, pig.
See, great minds. And yeah, so
Super serial
man bear pig
guys.
starts attacking stormtroopers and all that. So and then that dumbass, basically gets captured.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wonder what's going to happen with him.
Yeah. I
Um,
was hoping it was going to be like like a scene from like Jurassic Park where he is going through the forest trying to
mm,
escape,
mhm.
like Aliens, where the douchebag tries to get away but then gets eaten. I was
Yeah.
hoping for that. I was really hoping for that, but didn't get that.
Maybe there was like a porta john nearby and he goes and sits in it and then
Yeah, yeah,
leaves.
that would have been nice.
Meanwhile, while this is all taking place, Omega back on Tantus What is that? Did you see that
Huh?
thumbs up? And
Did
did
we
you
get
see
a
that?
thumbs up?
Look, do you see in your picture? There's like a thumbs
Yeah.
up bubble. What is that from?
I don't know. Did someone give me a like?
Is someone else doing that?
I don't know.
Someone likes
Creepy.
you.
Or maybe it was. Oh, do you see that?
Yeah. What the heck is going on?
I have no idea. Boner jams. Oh.
Apparently,
Oh
it's
God.
you have an iPhone?
Yeah.
Maybe it's an iPhone thing. That's hilarious.
Don't you have an
Anyways,
iPhone?
yeah, but I'm on my computer, right? I mean, I don't live stream or FaceTime
If
or
I like
anything.
flick you off, does that like do a saddie face?
I would hope for fireworks because that would have been great.
What about like two thumbs down?
Yeah. Oh, rain.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
For those
Uh,
that are watching us on our YouTube channel, then you'll get to enjoy all of that. We're learning some things about live broadcasting with Dustin's iPhone. It's
yeah, this won't be a normal thing. It's just, uh, everything going on.
yeah,
So
exactly. Anyway, so
I
meanwhile,
wonder what it
while
would have been like if my balls were showing, because that could have been a thing
automatic
with,
censorship.
yeah, with the original. uh,
But anyways, going back to Bad Batch. So while all that was taking place in the jungle, Omega is in the process of trying to figure out kind of what's going on to help plan for their escape. So she goes
yeah, so
back.
she's going through like the tunnels and stuff,
She's
right?
going through the tiles, and she asked her friends like, if the droids and
Cover for
scientists
me.
come, please cover for me. And they're like, "What do we do? What do you mean? What does
Yeah, and they
cover
didn't
you?"
do shit.
Right? And she's like, "You'll think of something."
Yeah, no, they didn't.
Well, they did.
I
That
mean,
was
they
them
thought of
at
things. They're just like your sick child that doesn't want to go to school could think of better
right.
excuses.
Hey, it worked. It bought her enough time, so
Oh,
not the best, but it sufficed. C plus,
well,
just
so
enough to
I
pass.
mean, the one thing my one like small gripe about the episodes, they do these weird like, and they did the last episode too. They do these weird like machinations to mess with time, where like
Hmm.
time isn't like real, so
Yeah,
like, I mean, if you remember like the last episode, she popped off those tiles and went up and then was like trying to find a way out, and then she got back. I mean, there's no physical way that that could have been possible. So yeah, the timing's not perfect and all that. They kind of did that same thing with this a little bit, and then they kind of, they're trying to add suspense with Omega by having like those weird like block things move around.
yeah,
It's like, yeah, Omega's not going to get hit by that.
right.
So she's climbing up through that and doing her thing, and then of course she finds the Zillow Beast.
Yeah, Zillow be spotting, which
Yeah, and of course the Empire's being real mean to it.
right. Zzz, zzz, just gonna piss
Taser,
it off.
taser.
Which I wonder what her plan is for getting them out of there.
No clue, man. No clue whatsoever.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, no, I agree. The one part that was a little odd for me was the timing, especially her coming back. So she sees this and then she makes her way back. And
Yeah,
the scientist goes to the first uh child and taking blood
yeah. We'll call the
sample,
scientist resting bitch face because that would
resting
be.
bitch face, takes the first blood sample, and the child's like, I'm hungry. She says her line, it'll pass, which is dumb as hell. And then she goes to the next one. And when she goes to the next one, they intentionally show the other two kids across the way with the empty stall in the middle, which I think is Omega's. And they show that she's not there yet. And takes the blood sample from the second child, starts walking away. Oh, I don't feel so good. So, oh, okay, well, take a scan of her. How did she get back, arrange those tiles back in place without making enough noise for the scientist to hear her and be sitting on the her bed or whatever?
Yeah, yeah.
That was a little iffy to me. That was a little far-fetched, but I get it. It's they don't have a lot of time to work with in the first place, so like you said, they make these weird time jumps. And that's exactly what happened here. So, but she does the investigation that she needs to do, and she has a plan now. And we go back. Oh no, that we didn't. That was the last we saw of the Bad Batch, right? We see Hemlock getting captured,
Not Hemlock.
or sorry,
Douchebag McGee
Rampart,
Zach.
douchebag McGee Zach, Rampart. We see him get captured, and then we don't really see much of the Bad Batch after that, right? It's just Omega, and she tells the kids she has a plan, and then
Well,
we.
we're also forgetting to talk about Echo, right? So,
Oh yeah, we've been forgetting
mm.
Echo here,
So
which
he's on the ship, right?
yep.
He's doing his little covert operation. Brilliant. I really like, right? He like looks at his armor and then looks at the stormtroopers like, fuck it, you know? And but another thing, maybe this eventually happens, but okay, he took out a stormtrooper. By the way, this uh when he opened the door and put the stormtrooper in the closet, that sound of that door opening like brought me like flashbacks to Shadows of the Empire because that's the
Mm,
same sound that
mm,
was made in that video game of
that's
doors
cool.
opening and closing.
I didn't notice that. That's cool.
Yeah, like sound is like a really powerful thing to like
Oh,
connect to memory.
that's huge for
Sound and
me.
smell. So
Smell is yeah, which is odd to me. Why is smell the strongest sense tied to memory? I
I don't
would
know.
think
We could get into the science of that later, but
yeah.
you know, that's why farts always bring me back. Always. No, anyway, so yeah, Echoes, he gets the stormtrooper armor, he's going through the computer, robot comes, robot's like, "You're not supposed to be here." He's like, "Oh, I'm not." Then I started blasting.
I'm so
And
glad though. Oh, go ahead, keep going.
well, it's just my thing is like they're gonna find the stormtrooper in the dead robot, right? And then they're gonna know, like, you know,
Right. They'll know
or it'll be like
someone's
the Spaceball scene where like they're chasing around and they're like they find the body doubles.
yeah.
That's not them, you idiots. That's the body doubles.
True, but they won't they'll know someone's there, but they'll have no idea who because they'll see because he left his armor behind. So obviously he's a stormtrooper. Well, maybe that's not even obvious because either way, what I was happy
The
about because
stormtrooper's not a clone, so they're gonna
right,
know like that's not the person in the armor. Because I'm assuming that he swapped armors with the guy.
right, yeah, exactly. But I
That's where
was
I just have the scene in my head of like that Spaceballs where
baseball.
they bring him to Hemlock. Oh, we caught you. Oh, that's not.
No, that's fair. Um, but after he put on the armor, they had the stormtrooper armor. They showed him like missing the hand and like still
Yeah, he
connecting
takes the
computers.
robot's hand.
And I'm like, that's not going to fly very well. Like that's a problem. But then they answered that, and I was happy to see that. So when he took out the droid, he took out took off the hand and put it on, and then he had that pun line like, "Thanks for the hand."
Yeah.
um, which made me wonder though, like does everything just is that his like computer thing like a universal is it like a USB like connection because it just fits with everything I guess.
Can you imagine though, like if the Empire was like Apple, right? And he's like, "Oh fuck, this is USB-C, and I needed USB-A." You
Yeah.
know?
You're gonna have to wait for an update an iOS update while you're putting this hand on so
Yeah, yeah. Well, I just find it funny, like you know, you got you got laser guns, you got lightsabers, and you have you know doors that open. You don't have security cameras anywhere in the Empire, like.
they have to because I mean go back to A New Hope, the first Star Wars movie. They had to shoot out those cameras when they got into detention block AA-23, you know.
Hey, I like the callback. But yeah, so they only use security cameras sparingly. You don't think the Empire's like, putting them everywhere?
This is coming from the guy that sells security cameras.
Oh, exactly. I'm just saying.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. But I think the important thing about Echo's story in this episode is how it ends. So he is in one of the science research facilities and he's trying to get information, and Emery walks in and he's like, oh crap.
Oh, it's not. It's the science
Right.
facility, right? Like that's where Emery was testing
Right.
the blood samples. So yeah, and then she comes in, and I did like,
Stormtroopers
she.
aren't supposed to be in here.
Oh, it's a
A
security
security
protocol.
protocol.
Like Echo, you need to work on your acting skills. Jesus Christ.
Right. And she knew right away that that he was a clone. Well, she's a
Yeah.
clone, so that makes sense. Um, and she's like, Echo, Omega's talked about you. And then he's like, oh, Omega's talked about you too, because she said that she was Emery. And
He didn't say it in a very flattering tone.
no. But long story short, he's like pulling on the strings because he said, Omega had hope or trusted you and had hoped that you could do something. So, I'm
Well,
hoping
another
the
thing he brought
same.
up is like, hey, we're not here just to save Omega. Like, we're here to
We're here to,
bust
mhm.
everyone out.
Yeah.
And then, like, the very end, she's like, oh, there's other kids here. And he's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
So,
Well,
and that's
and
pretty
she
much the episode.
complies. She complies. She's
Oh, yeah,
like,
she's like, you need
I
my
can
help.
help you, but you're gonna have to trust me. So, which we all knew she was gonna turn to do the right thing because she's a clone, so she's gonna help other clones.
Yeah, and then, that's another thing. He's like, yeah, how could you do this as a clone? It's kind of what he
Right.
said.
Yep.
So, to other clones.
Yep.
So, all in all, I love the episode. I mean, there's some gripes, just like there would be in any. I mean, it's not Rebel Moon and the awful sequel, which I haven't even seen.
I haven't seen it. There's a sequel to Rebel Moon.
Well, they, I don't know, they couldn't do it in all in one part, so they put part one out and then part two. I was
Oh,
blasted drunk when I saw the first movie, and I am glad I was because
you had a hard enough tolerating it being drunk. You have no idea how you would have
no,
lasted
I was
sober.
drunk, so I was too inebriated to like really care what I was watching about.
Sure.
I didn't get as offended as I normally probably would have about how awful it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just saying, like, they've done a really good job this episode, and now, unfortunately, knowing that there's only one left kind of makes you super sad, but
Yeah.
excited for what they can do. But like you said, the challenge is, and what I'm worried about is they have a lot to do in
Yeah.
a short amount of time. So, like, can they nail the landing?
Yeah.
We'll
It's almost
see
like
next
we
week.
should have taken some time away from some of the quest inception episodes and put it more toward how this whole thing's going to get resolved. Because I feel like they're going to do a great job. Like it's going to, the last episode I'm sure will be very satisfying, but I just have this feeling that there's going to be something left untold, and maybe that will be deliberate. Maybe that will spawn into the next animated show that they come out, or maybe the movies that will be coming out. Who knows? But I feel like they're not going to cover all their bases here. But one other thing I wanted to speak to, I know we wanted to keep this short, so I'll wrap this up soon. But one other important line in this episode was when Crosshair was talking with Rampart in the jungle, and they were talking about loyalty and everything. And Rampart was like, "I know you because we're kind of similar." He's like, "Your loyalty is to yourself," and Crosshair then makes the comment like, "I've changed." And then Rampart is thinking in his head and he's like, or have you? So I think that's kind of what's going to play a pivotal point in this last episode. There's going to be this moment where Crosshair is going to have to make a decision. And I feel like we're going to lose Crosshair because he's going to make a sacrifice where it's no longer about him, it's about the team. That's my
Well,
project.
I think we've
That's
talked
my
about this.
prediction.
Like, I mean, based on what we know, like the Bad Batch really can't survive.
Right.
So I think there's kind of wholesale sacrifice that might happen, you know. So
It could be one, it could be all of them. But I think Crosshair is going to make a sacrificial decision as it relates to either the group or Omega, and he's going to sacrifice himself for the situation. That's my prediction, at least.
yeah,
Because and you go back to right before Tech died, like they made it really clear and spent a lot of time where Tech and Omega were together, kind of Omega learning from Tech, and then he got axed off. So then I feel like this season it's kind of a similar thing with Omega and Crosshair. So then Crosshair is probably going to pair. I would
Well,
put
I wonder. I
99%
wonder, are they
chance
going
he's
to reveal the identity of this Shadow Trooper guy, or is that just
well.
like done and over
I
with?
was waiting to see him in this episode, and we didn't see anything. So like,
Yeah,
where is that guy? I mean, we were talking about how much they have to cover in this last episode, and there's a lot they're going
yeah.
to
I
have to.
mean, so like, is that just done with?
Is that done
Right?
with?
Because
Yeah, I don't know.
so we'll see, man. I'm really pumped for the next week's episode, and I am you tip your cap to Filoni for doing such a good job with these and giving us good content that we can talk about and enjoy.
Yep.
So
And then hey, right afterwards, May the 4th, we'll have Tales of the Empire. So we'll have more content to talk about. I'm really stoked for that show. Looks really good. And if it's anything close to what Tales of the Jedi it was, we're gonna have some awesome content to watch. So and we've got the 5K on May the 4th. So it's definitely a Star Wars day. We're gonna
I
be
gotta like officially sign up for that. So
yeah, you do. And then there's Inside Brewery and Dangerous Man like shindig in the afternoon and evening if you want to partake in that at all. I don't know if we need tickets for that, but it's going to be a Star Wars day for us one way or another. So we're going to be dressing up, having fun, celebrating Star Wars the best way we can. So,
might have to borrow something to dress up at. I don't
oh,
know if I'll have time to.
do you want a pilot, a rebel pilot? You want,
What's the easiest to physically run in?
probably Kylo Ren's. We're not going to
Okay,
run. We're going to walk
I'm running.
because we have JJ and we're going to have him in a stroller. I've got a costume for him.
I'm running
Well,
100%.
you can
I'm leaving
run.
you guys in my dust, and then I'll meet you at the finish line.
You're going to be coming around you're going to come to lap us and then you'll join us.
I ain't doing that. I'll do my 5K and call, that's
And call
my,
it quits.
I feel good about running 5Ks.
I
I
think
feel
I'm
like
gonna
that's,
I think I'm gonna do Vader. I'm not sure yet, but I think I'm gonna do Vader. But we'll see. I bought something special for the 5K, so I'm looking forward to bringing it. But that means I have to be Darth Vader, so
there you go.
we'll see. All right. Well, anything else with Bad Batch? I think we've covered everything we want to with episode 14.
Yeah, it was great. I think, keeping them short and sweet, right? I don't want to like do a review that's like longer than the episodes, right?
Right.
Not too much longer, of course.
Sure. Um, yeah, I agree. I was like I said before, it's definitely it was believable. I was definitely satisfied with the episode, so looking forward to how this all wraps up. Just gonna make one comment. I know because one of our followers made mention to it. So we're in season 4 of our podcast and happen to be on episode 14 of our podcast. So when we post the season 4 episode 14, it's not a typo from like season 3 episode 14 of the Bad Batch. So just calling that out right here right now. It just happens to align that way, making it confusing for everyone. But with that, I will just speak to our social media handles really quick. So you can find us on Twitter at DetBlockAA23pod, on Instagram at Detention_Block_AA_23, and then our Facebook group and YouTube channels, Detention Block AA23 Star Wars Podcast. And then you can now find us on TikTok at DetBlock AA23. Bring us your likes, follows, subscriptions, downloads, reviews, ratings, all of it. We greatly appreciate any little thing that you can do. It's just a click of a button, and it really goes a long way for us getting our name out there amongst all the Star Wars podcasts and YouTube channels out there. So with that, have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week. We will be talking final episode 15 next week. And then shortly after that, Tales of the Empire. So looking forward to the content we have. And Acolyte is just around the corner as well. So a lot of
We could
things
throw a Tales in the Crypt review too. I mean, I'm just
Tales
saying.
of the Crypt. God, I love that show and hated that show at the same time back.
Oh, I love that show. I
I
love
think
that
that's
show
where I
so
got.
much.
That's where I got the first like boob shot, I think, that I ever saw
Oh
on
yeah,
TV
100%. Yep.
was Tales of the Crypt. So, and you know, there's a memory moment back then. So, um, but yeah, have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week. We look forward to being here next week talking to you guys. So, with that, and as always, may the force be with you.
And also with my house's resale value.
You're gonna nail it, dude. It's gonna go out of the park.
I hope
All right,
so. I hope someone like
it
falls in
will.
love with it and offers way too much money.
Someone's gonna love it just as much as you did. So
I'm
you'll
gonna
be
miss this house so freaking much, but yeah.
you'll make the next home just as good as this one, if not better. So
Yeah, absolutely. So